Welcome back to another episode of Holy Shift. Today, we're going to be talking about headaches and herbal remedies. Headaches are something that I am asked about often. And typically what follows the question regarding headaches and where they come from and what types of headaches there are. What can I do to support myself when I'm in the midst of a major headache or migraine? And Adrian and I have some experience with that personally and professionally. Thus, that's what we're going to dive into today.
Welcome to Holy Shift, the podcast where medicine meets mystery and healing becomes whole.
We're your hosts, Taylor Sappington
and Adrian Irizarry.
Two clinicians, herbalists, and mystics who believe the old ways and modern medicine were never meant to live apart.
This is a space for the witches in the broom closet, the healers afraid to leave their mark, the world walkers who know they don't fit into the systems they were handed.
Here we go first, sharing our stories, our medicine, and the truth about what it really takes to reclaim your power, your health, and your place in the world.
Because the safest, most radical thing you can be is yourself.
This is your permission.
This is your portal.
This is your Holy Shift.
So, yes.
There are a variety of different headaches and a variety of different ways to assess the headache and then to support your body in finding resolution. Because the way Adrian and I go about supporting a headache or any symptom that exists in your ecosystem is all about providing information to a gap that exists so that the body can do what it needs to do, what it's built to do, what it's amazing at doing, which is find resolve to the symptom that is obviously bubbling to the surface. So when it comes to headaches, I think it's really important to acknowledge that 9 times out of 10, they're not random. And it's not just stress. It's definitely not because your body is betraying you, although I would be lying if I said it. I haven't had that thought. As the headache is moving to a migraine and you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Right? I used to feel that way a lot, that my body, and that's exactly what I would call it, is like, I just feel like my body's betraying me because here I am again having this problem. And I always love when people, they're like, yeah, I had a headache before my period. I was like, okay, so tell me how it began. Deer in headlights.
Yeah.
Because we don't pay attention to it as a way that our body is trying to communicate with us.
And I don't know if this resonates with you the way it resonates with me, but I have very heavy air in my natal chart. I am deeply Gemini, like apex of my chart, multiple placements Gemini, right? And I know that you have deeply Aquarian placements in your chart. And oftentimes when I get a headache, it's my body's way, it's my head's way of saying, I need you to turn off now. You have asked me to work entirely too much. I am the mule that pulls the 15 carts behind, and I need water and I need rest because headaches are literally the only thing that'll take me out. So this is a good example of like Taylor's hit her threshold and totally blown by it. Her body's like, oh, I know it's going to take her out. It's a headache.
Yes. Mine often also come from, what am I not vocalizing?
Oh, that too. Yep. And the way that both of us go about supporting someone who's presenting with a headache is obviously identifying what in the system is stagnated, what is lacking support, what element needs to be added and potentially subtracted, right? And that is, for me, as I know it is for you, done through food and hydration, but also herbs. I think it's really important to state this explicitly, though. Herbs are not a quick escape button. They are relationship guides. They don't suppress symptoms. They restore coherence. It is an entire conversation because your body is not a machine. It's an ecosystem. And in ecosystems, time plus attunement equals the shift that you're seeking.
Yes. And how they show up tells you where in the ecosystem to start looking.
Which leads me to elemental patterns, right? So your headaches usually fall into one, maybe two. I'm a mixed pattern, so I usually fall into maybe 3 buckets, right? But your headaches usually fall into an elemental pattern. And when you know the pattern and you know the plant that supports the pattern, you've got your ally. So Adrienne and I are going to break down headaches through the elemental lens. I think we have pretty similar perspectives on these, but you'll get a little bit from both of us regarding it. So let's talk about air headaches first because they hit close to home. This is also known as the overthinker's pulse, at least in my world, right? The too many tabs open headache. This is the headache where you're spiraling and spiraling and spiraling. Your mind is racing 100 miles a minute, but your body hasn't really taken a real breath in 2 hours. The energetic pattern presentation for an air headache, when I witness them in myself and other people: overwhelm, scattered thoughts, nervous system static, vata, that's an Ayurvedic presentation in terms of constitution, nervous system type imbalance, which I'm very heavy pitta vata. Is there anything else you would add to the energetic pattern presentation for an air element headache?
Oh, I think that's really great. I look at headaches a little bit differently. I mean, there's still absolutely an elemental piece, but the way that I ask questions about headaches is to figure out, as a vibrational acupuncturist, which of the meridian lines is there a traffic accident on?
Yeah.
And each of those meridian lines corresponds with an element. So there's still an elemental piece. I just think about it a little bit more like interstate highways. Because when I work with people, I'm doing it a little bit more now, but I don't always have their astrological big placements in front of me unless they're coming in for vibrational acupuncture. I do get a little bit more of that information around that. But a lot of times we end up with tension. Also, because it's this nervous system piece.
Static. Yeah.
And sometimes people will even be like, oh, my low back and my hips hurt and I'm getting a headache. They can show up at the temples, which is more of a gallbladder meridian kind of thing. And that's the wood element. So I kind of look at it from that perspective as okay, so where do we need to move debris off the highway because there's an energetic car collision on the interstate?
Well, yeah, and top of the head is liver meridian, right? So we can absolutely weave these together. When it comes to elemental aspects from astrology and then obviously vibrational acutonics, there is overlap. These are not recommendations. This is education. And I want to be very clear on this. So if you choose to explore an herb that I am making mention of, I need you to understand a few things. First and foremost, taking this herb is not going to get rid of a headache that already exists. Okay. It's not a COX-2 inhibitor, not in the way that ibuprofen or another NSAID may be. What I also need you to understand is these herbs, although I'm speaking to them in a general capacity, may not be a good fit for your constitution, right? For your physical presentation. So I am going to emphatically encourage you to hook up with an herbalist, an acupuncturist, a vibrational acupuncturist, a medical astrologer. I need you to sit with somebody who understands the pharmacokinetics, the mechanism of action when it comes to your physical body, and who also understands the energetics. This is for general knowledge. If you add one of these and it does not align with your particular presentation, Houston, we're going to create more of a problem than what already exists. So herbal allies that I have found to be beneficial to those who are presenting with an air element imbalance, an air element imbalance pattern in my practice, skullcap is a big one because it gathers scattered energy and it brings it home. Lemon balm, which I feel very comfortable talking about lemon balm. It's of the mint family, but it reins in anxious thoughts and it soothes the heart. Blue vervain is not one I would encourage most people to work with on their own. I absolutely love this herb, as they all do. It needs to be utilized intentionally, but I tend to utilize blue vervain for things that are very physically related, like tight shoulders and a tight mind. And then holy basil. I have a love affair with holy basil.
I do too.
Oh my God. She literally exists in every tea that I make right now. I love her. She's maternal. She's matriarchal. She's like a warm blanket that wraps you up. But when anxiety becomes spiraling, mental chatter presents, right? And holy basil is very good at curtailing that mental chatter, right? Air headaches are a sign of overwhelm, signaling a frequency mismatch, right? Your mind is spinning faster than your body can handle. So your field destabilizes and your head screams slow down. So from your herbal perspective, because Adrienne works with traditional Chinese medicinal herbals, very different than the Western herbal family, is there anything that you would add to or recommend?
So from my perspective, worry and that mental chatter often is a sign of an unbalanced spleen.
Yeah.
So you might want to look at your stomach and what's going on in your stomach and your digestion. Sometimes those headaches will actually present like a bullseye in the middle of your forehead. So think about like when you have ice cream and you get that, oh, like right in the middle of your forehead. That is actually where stomach headaches start. So if you're seeing a lot of mental spiraling out, worrying about people, things, upcoming things, and there's just that kind of feeling, a lot of times you'll feel anxiety in your stomach with a presentation like that. I honestly really love the Free and Easy Wanderer.
I was hoping you were going to say that.
I do. I love it. And honestly, instead of an NSAID, I will take the Free and Easy Wanderer and see if it chills my shit out.
Yeah, it
usually does.
And would you say for most people, that's generally recognized as a safe herb to implement?
Yes, it is a combination of herbs.
Yep.
It is a formula. That formula is great if your headache is coming up to the vertex of your head, which can be really common when people are yin deficient. That's a really common headache pattern when people are perimenopausal. And it feels like the top of your head, like a demon is going to rip out of it. And you can like literally push on the top of your head because it hurts right there. That is a liver presentation headache. And that is where like the Free and Easy Wanderer, if the pain is there, sometimes if the pain is at your temples, you'll get a little bit of relief from that formula. It's one that you can take when you're in the midst of a headache. And I do find it really helpful, but its focus is to smooth liver qi stagnation. And so when we are stressed about things, we hold tension in our system. And if we're angry about things, we hold tension in our system. And so that formula can be really beautiful for tension headaches, for liver presentation headaches, for that busy monkey mind headache.
Okay, beautiful. I think it's also really important to remind everyone who's listening, before these herbs are capable of entering the ecosystem and the conversation that's going on, your frequency has to drop back into your body, which is part of the reason these headaches often need rest, they need grounding, and they need exhaling before relief comes. So would we put a period at the end of the sentence on headaches associated with the air element?
Yes.
Okay. Moving on to fire headaches, also known as, in my world, the migraine. Okay. The pressure cooker, the everyone back away headache, right? These are the ones that I label where I'm like, what kind of headache you have today? It's the pressure cooker. Oh, okay. Got it. So this one pulses. It throbs. It feels like violence. There's no other way to put it. You don't want a solution. You want silence. You want no lights. This is the one where you close your eyes and maybe sleep will help, right?
Yep.
So the energetic pattern that I observe with fire-based headaches, overdrive, burnout, liver heat, a pitta imbalance, which would go to like that liver heat, if you will, rage and frustration that's simmering under the surface. What would you add to this type of presentation through your lens?
Sometimes the brain feels like it's on fire.
Literally.
There's literally
like a tingling sensation.
Yeah. There's like heat. And if it's a damp heat or dampness, maybe that'll play into the earth element side of things, but it can feel like a hat that's on too tight also.
Yeah.
Liver heat is really common. I'm going to come back to perimenopause, but like when you're yin deficient, what that means is that there isn't enough coolant in the car. So if you put water in your overheating radiator, all you're going to get is steam billowing out the hood, and you're still going to have to pull over to the side of the road. When you put the thick viscous stuff into your radiator, it cools the components and makes it so that you can keep driving. So in our bodies, if we are yin deficient, yin is the coolant.
Yep.
So if there's not enough of it, we start to overheat. And it can be subtle at first, where it looks like you wake up half in, half out of the covers, or you used to want to snuggle with your spouse, and now you are banished to the opposite side of the bed because you are making me too hot.
Or your dogs.
Yeah. I mean, it could be anything like that. You might see little pieces of this. This could also look like your period starting too early and being kind of an electric-y red color because there's heat in the blood. So when you get a headache like that, it has a ferocity to it. And you need herbs that help to cool and chill it out.
The indeficiency is literally the bane of my existence. So yes, to everything Adrienne is saying. So from an herbal perspective, the herbs that I have found to be most helpful in those that I am supporting that present like this. And sometimes it's a single herb, sometimes it's a combination of herbs. It really depends on the person and their pattern. Feverfew.
That was the one I was going to say. I like that one.
Because it lowers inflammatory fire over time, right? Butterbur. I love butterbur, but PA free only. You have to be very careful where you source your butterbur, like where you're getting your butterbur, because it cools vascular inflammation. You won't find butterbur on most herbal websites too, for a reason. So just planting that seed. Peppermint. I love me some mint in this household. Like mint is dispersive and it's cooling and uplifting all at the same time. Meadowsweet is another favorite of mine because it's cooling and it's soothing and it's great for hot headaches. And then obviously, if I were to combine to skullcap from that first headache we talked about with the feverfew, it is literally the chill pill.
I was going to say that would be the combo I would go to for this kind of a headache, even though I do things with Chinese medicine and like I'm trained in Western Chinese and Ayurvedic materia medica. So like I love peppermint for this as well. Turmeric is one that I would also add into this category because of the anti-inflammatory side of things. Because often there is inflammation. There's not enough coolant in the car. The car is starting to steam and it's trying to show it somehow. For people who have this as kind of a recurring headache pattern, there is a formula, Romania 6 or Lue Di Wang Wan, that has heat clearing herbs in it. And so women who I work with that notice that they have this kind of fiery headache presentation, when they take it, it not only nourishes their kidneys, which is the water element,
literally,
to help balance out that fire, but there's some heat clearing herbs in it so that you don't continue to overheat.
And fire headaches, again, can be solar deficiency or solar excess when we're talking about it through an astrological perspective. So things like rosemary can also be favorable. Shashandra too, just because the astringent elements and the liver support can be really beautiful too. So I think it's important to remember that fire headaches are usually a nervous system surge after a prolonged override. You're just hitting the override button, override button, override button. Your body's like, all right, I'm just going to get your attention in a really rude way because you haven't listened to one of my cues. You push until your body slams the brakes, literally. The migraine.
And your face batches off
and that's what you feel. Literally. The migraine isn't the problem, right? The emergency stop button is. So when it's a fire headache and it presents the way Adrienne and I have just spoken about, it's an invitation to cool your field, cold compresses, breath work, peppermint steam, even in the shower. Like I'll do some peppermint in my shower just for the experience more so, but I love it. Obviously slow your internal frequency so the inflammation can settle. And then using herbs regularly, not reactively. Again, this is why I'm going to encourage you to connect with an herbalist, or an acupuncturist or medical astrologer, where all three of us are typically herbalists rolled into multiple other modalities, because you're going to get herbs that serve your core constitution. And then you're going to have like an emergency kit for certain things. It's really important to look at herbs through, this is a long-term relationship, not a one-night stand.
I like that because it's true. Like we get to these headache patterns through a journey. They don't just show up.
Nope.
So the one-night stand, it's true.
Pharmaceuticals are like a one-night stand. Sometimes you need that.
Well, and sometimes they can make them worse. When I was dealing with migraine pill guy from the Pixar movie with the fire
lotion
on top of his head.
It's the Inside Out movie.
Oh, it was awful.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, sometimes the pharmaceuticals like don't touch it. And I've worked with plenty of women who have been on pharmaceuticals and they're like, I don't like the side effects that come with this. Is there something you can do? And within like a few months' time, this pattern that they've had for years and years and years is like not taking over their life anymore. But that's the key. When you work with an herbalist, it's a journey.
And
there's no band-aid.
Like your herbs are going to change your pattern. Like we have to be okay with, yes, we need to pivot now. Eventually you'll get to a place where you maintain, but there's probably going to be a lot of pivot, at least initially, because your ecosystem and your pattern is going to respond to the introduction of information. And we want that. We have normalized this, like take something, stay on it for 6 months, but you're constantly changing. Okay. Water headaches are next. I think this is the one that you were alluding to not too long ago. So when I see a water headache, I refer to it as sinus pressure. A lot of the times water headaches are associated with sinus pressure. PMS headache. A lot of the times I see PMS associated with like a water element imbalance, and then emotional overflow. These usually feel heavy. They feel swollen. They feel foggy. Think about stagnated lymph and what that feels like being underwater. So the energetic pattern of the presentation of a water headache: stagnation, water retention, grief or suppressed emotion, kapha imbalance, lymph stuck, puffiness, congestion. Would you add anything to that energetic pattern presentation?
Well, I guess that also kind of dovetails with that damp headache pattern where you feel like it's a hat that's on too tight. Sometimes it can radiate from your occiput and atlas too. So like from where your head attaches to your neck and the ability to like turn your head back and forth, like sometimes it'll start there and radiate up over the top of your head, because that is a bladder presentation headache. From a ECM standpoint, I was the queen of those. And so that is the water element. Kidneys and bladder are husband and wife. So if you caught our last episode where we were talking about kidneys and the fact that there's husband and wife pairs, the water element is the kidneys and bladder. So that headache will radiate not up the spine, but just outside of the spine on either side of the neck. It comes through the occiput and atlas up over the top of your head. And you want to push the corner of your eyebrow. You want to just press there like your life depends on it. That's to relieve the pressure. If I could just stick my finger in my head by my eyebrow, I could solve the problem. Like it's that kind of a pressure.
Yeah. So herbal allies for a water imbalance headache: nettles. I love nettles.
Yep.
Mineral rich. Cold steeping allows for the preservation of the vitamin C in the nettles. Nettles is a very Mars herb, which is so interesting to me, right? It's like that deep red, brown color. It's great for iron, but it's nature's antihistamine and it's a lymph mover. Elderflower is another one that I really like to work with. It opens the sinuses and it reduces pressure. Ginger, I have a love affair with ginger. Really, I do.
I was going to say, if you weren't going to say that one, I would.
And for my constitution, ginger is really tricky, but I freaking love ginger. Ginger is warm. Obviously, there's a difference between fresh ginger and chopped dried ginger and then powdered dry ginger, right? With the powdered dry ginger being almost like a diaphoretic if we don't use it appropriately. So it could be good for over stagnation in the body, like too much water, but problematic if you've got an issue with too little water. But ginger's warm, it moves, it drains congestion. Turmeric, I did include that in the water element headaches just because it decreases inflammatory pressure, like Adrienne was mentioning. And then rosemary. Again, I just love rosemary. It clears mental fog and it moves circulation to the head. So is there anything you would add to water headaches?
I was going to say those last three herbs that you listed are all have an element of drying. And so when we're talking about water, if something floods, you're going in with a little wetback to suck up the moisture, right? So this isn't sucking it up, but it's helping your body to transform it and move it. So when things are stuck and your headache feels like a hat that's on too tight, and you're getting squeezed, that can be really good. And I just think ginger in general, because like a lot of times with this type of headache, and sometimes the fire headaches, but usually this type of headache, there's a nausea component.
Yep.
And so ginger can be really great for the nausea aspect of that too, just to kind of like chill out your tummy. So you don't throw up.
Add in a little bit of citrus, like it can be really beautiful, right?
Mm-hmm.
So water headaches are often through my lens and in my world, and I think Adrienne would agree with this based on how she sees the body. They're about emotion that hasn't moved a lot of the time, like stagnated emotions. Your body's trying to flush something out, a belief, a buildup, a boundary you swallowed instead of speaking. So behavior is just as big of a component as herbs, food, and hydration is when we're talking about herbs. Is there anything you would add to potential roots for?
No, I think that was beautifully worded. And I agree. The emotions that aren't spoken, they sit heavy.
So heavy
in the system. And it's different from the fire presentation headache where you feel like the Pixar guy and his head's going to blow off. Like that is more livery because an unbalanced liver, there's anger. So like it feels different. It's like the weight of the world is on your shoulders and weighing you down.
Is that sadness in the Pixar movie too?
Yes.
She's got that melancholic voice, you know. The invitations that typically exist with a water-based headache: move your lymph, rebounding on a small trampoline, brisk walking, gua sha. Would you add anything to that in terms of moving your lymph?
I like vibration plates.
Yeah, they're beautiful, especially when you're bleeding. Oh, yeah, they're so great. Hydrating with minerals, not consuming just plain water. I feel like we are so far deep in that hole collectively. We all know to do this, but it's worth repeating. And then letting yourself cry.
Yeah.
Or journaling until the emotional dam breaks. Herbs can support drainage and flow, but they can't move what you refuse to feel.
And I like Shilajit too when we talk about the minerals piece of things. There's 84 minerals and nutrients and fulvic acid and all of these things that we're like generally pretty depleted in. That's more of an Ayurvedic toolkit item, but like having bone broth in the background on a regular basis where you're getting all of those minerals and nutrients, not only are you checking the box for yin deficiency, but you're also making sure that you're having the proper support for the water element.
Yeah, and bone broth is a lymph mover too. So if there's stagnation, it's going to help move lymph. Okay. And last but not least, we have our earth headaches, also known as the I've been sitting for too long. Everything feels heavy type. This is a slow, dull, achy headache. It feels like pressure or a weight. The energetic pattern that I typically see with earth-based headaches: stagnation, overconsumption, under movement, kapha and dampness is typically present, and then energetic heaviness or stagnancy.
And often I notice that people describe him as like one side or the other. They're like, it was behind my eye, which is like from a TCM perspective is more of a stasis headache, which is like when you have stayed stuck and you've sat and you haven't moved for a really long period of time, and like that compounds. And then all of a sudden you get a stasis headache. So like I kind of describe the difference to my clients of a stagnation as there's an accident in one lane on a 3-lane highway. It slows traffic down, but traffic can still move. It's just moving slower. And then a stasis is like a 2 or 3-lane car crash where traffic comes to a stop. Because you have to either integrate everybody in 3 lanes down to 1 lane, or nobody can move until the debris is moved. That is more of a stasis presentation. And it often will start as kind of like dull and throbby, but then can start to get sharper if you don't move.
Yeah. Ugh. I've experienced all of these headaches, P.S. by the way. They're all awful. So herbal allies, rosemary, I'm going to bring her back in, wakes up circulation and it clears brain fog. Ginkgo, I actually really like ginkgo because it boosts blood flow to the brain. You get a nice little kick with ginkgo too. Ginger, I'm going to bring ginger back into the conversation.
I would have mentioned ginger also. It's a pretty hallmark one in the Chinese materia medica.
Yeah, and it moves stuck energy and it improves circulation. And then Gatu Koala, like I have that one in there too.
I love that one.
Just because it nourishes the mind while gently providing an element of stimulation. So are there any herbs that you would add to that list for the earth imbalance headaches?
I might add Bacopa to that one.
Well, that makes sense.
I love that one as well as Gotu Kola, honestly. Willow bark.
Yeah. Like I don't have good success with willow bark personally. I have better success with feverfew, but I see the value in willow bark.
Yes, I would agree with you that I feel like people are happier with their results with feverfew, but willow bark functions a little more like an analgesic. So like that can be helpful with certain kinds of body presentations. And again, this is why you can't just look at an infographic on social media and go, oh, this is the herb that I need. There's a reason I don't post about specific herbs on my social media, because I don't want people to take it in isolation. Like when we were talking about air, I wish I had mentioned chamomile.
Well, you're mentioning it now.
It's a nervine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Matriarch of the plant family, when you think about it, like very mothering, very grounding. So I would agree with you.
Yeah. So, I mean, like knowing that when you look at the properties of an herb, there's usually a long list and they hit a bunch of different categories. Yeah. So its relationship with other things, its relationship with your body, its relationship with what you put it with. Yeah. That helps all of its beautiful magic to come to full fruition.
Absolutely. I mean, synergy is one of the most important things that comes to mind. So, okay, with earth headaches through a quantum lens often show a field that's gotten too dense. So there's too many responsibilities. There's too much emotional weight. There's not enough movement, joy, or flow. So often earth headaches extend the invitation to move your body, to move the energy, to dance for 60 seconds, to shake out your limbs, to let the energy unstick so the pain can dissolve. Herbs can help, but your body needs movement to carry the energy out with these type of headaches.
I would actually advocate for lavender.
Okay.
Only because the piece around stress and the fact that this headache comes with a heaviness, I could make a case for lavender here.
I can see that.
Just because having lavender in a bath and allowing the water to do some of this lymphatic movement for you can be really nourishing for an earth headache.
And then pairing it with rosemary, like what a beautiful pairing, those two together, right? I feel like rosemary is a very overlooked herb. So why herbs don't work instantly. I think this is the piece that people miss, because headaches are messengers, not malfunctions. Your body isn't asking for a quick off switch. It's asking for a relationship. Herbs don't override your body the way pharmaceuticals do. They whisper things like, let's regulate, let's restore, let's return to you. So the relief with herbs might look like a slow unwinding of your neck, or a gradual dimming of the pressure, or a gentle grounding back into your breath. Your nervous system is finally exhaling. It's not instant gratification. It's actual healing.
And because it's actual healing, you're providing the pattern interrupt. The thing that keeps bringing this headache back gets interrupted and nourished, and the pattern shifts. And then you might get a headache again, but the headache's going to look different. It's going to feel different. It's going to show up different. And it means that it's giving you new information.
Yep. And herbs are a conversation where consistency matters. Yes. Right? You can't take it and then have another headache and be like, oh, the headache came back. Well, to Adrienne's point, like, how does it look different this time? What have we moved and what still remains? That gives us information to oftentimes adjust the herbal compilation that you're consuming.
Yes. You know? And that's why working with an herbalist is so critically important, is the fact that as you heal, your body shifts. It needs different things. Yeah. So again, why the infographic on social media doesn't work for you, because as you start using the thing or the things, depending on what it is, your body is going to keep changing. So you have to periodically check in with somebody who knows what they're doing, because you need revisions as your body shifts. So like when I work with people with pelvic steaming, they're like, well, can't you just send me 6 months worth of herbs? No. And I'm like, well, no, I can't, because ethically I can't. Like if I wasn't responsible, sure. But like, ethically, I can't, because your body is going to be nourished in the ways that it's currently depleted, which is going to give us a new body that we're looking for. And with pelvic steaming, for example, you have cellular turnover and you have a brand new uterus every 90 days. So often people will get the biggest shocking shifts. Like they'll get subtle stuff every month, but then all of a sudden, right around month 3, 4, they're like, oh my God, it was like a totally different body. Well, yeah, because you have a completely different uterus. So, there's this cellular turnover in all of the different organs in your body. They all have different rates. A lot of them are on a 90-day cadence, but some of them, like the liver, is 2 years. So like they're all moving at a different speed, but it's that copy paste that we were talking about in our last episode. And so, because that copy paste keeps happening, you're providing different inputs into the system and you're changing certain lifestyle and behavioral patterns. You're nourishing your body differently, and then your body shows up for you differently. So this is an evolutionary process as you're walking down the road of your healing journey that requires a guide that walks hand in hand with you.
And in a world of instant gratification, it also requires you to be committed to a process of patience, because your body is the classroom that is going to continuously have you sit in the seat and learn the same lesson again and again and again. Most things in life are not awarded in an instant gratification capacity.
No.
In here overnight, and you're not going to get out of here overnight. Sorry, sis.
I was going to say, nature isn't designed that way. Just look at the seasons we move through in the year, the seasons of our cycle, the seasons and cycles of our life, the seasons outside the window. Like we're constantly going through a process. And there's different needs at different phases of the process.
That's the thing too, when people are like, well, this worked for me before, but it's not working anymore. It's not supposed to. Great. You're right on cue, So I think the take home is that your symptoms, headaches in this particular instance, aren't the enemy. They're your invitation. They're your invitation to pause. They're your invitation to listen. They're your invitation to nurture and to reconnect with your body's wisdom. And herbs aren't going to silence them. Herbs are actually an ally to the symptom, right? They're here to support the version of you that is clear, that is grounded, that is connected, and that is powerful. Your body knows how to heal. You just have to give it the allies to remember that process.
Beautifully said, my friend.
Yeah. So that was a quick and dirty on headaches. But if this brought up questions, I would absolutely love to hear from you. Like, we are both very active on social media. Adrienne can be found at Moon Essence ME. I can be found at Rooted Radiance, or Rooted with Taylor. Pardon me, that was not available when I chose my new handle. So Rooted with Taylor is actually the handle. And if you're looking to work with an herbalist, Adrienne has availability, as do I. And I encourage you to reach out to one of us if you're new to your herbal journey and you're seeking support and identifying what is going to work best in serving your ecosystem. So until next time, guys, stay well.